They are some of the world's best simulator racers, and their events on iRacing are streamed around the world. But today, they are making their national television debut, going wheel to wheel exclusively for the first time on NASCAR America. Hello, everyone, and welcome. You are about to see live NASCAR racing. It's an all-star race with the drivers of the Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series as they compete in digital replicas of the Cup Series cars you watch every weekend. But while this may be a virtual race, make no mistake, the desire to win for these drivers is real. Drivers like Ray with the Wood Brothers, or Christian with JTG Doherty, or Michael, who races for Roush Fenway. Yes, Cup owners have iRacers. Our guys own some teams too. We're going to talk about that coming up. Here's how today's race will work. We have a field of over 30 iRacers competing in this all-star event. They're going to race 70 laps today on the virtual 7/8 mile short track at Iowa Speedway. In fact, Parker, Jeff Burton, and Steve Letarte all have teams. Parker is in the sim. He's going to be walking us through things from there. Jeff and Steve are in our Charlotte studio. Guys, who are these racers and what is e-racing all about?
Thanks, Krista. Yeah, listen, I couldn't be more excited. I've known the guys at iRacing for a long time, and they have built up this great simulation platform. And that's what I want to let everybody know. While it looks like a video game, let me assure you, it races anything but a video game. This is simulation racing. These are the best drivers around the world, either in their office or at their home, running. We actually see right here, this is warm-ups. These guys are out here warming up and getting ready for the race. So it's going to be a blast to cover and so much fun to watch.
Yeah, this is a real deal, man. 2019 is over $100,000 in prize winnings up for grabs. These guys, they have to earn their way here. They have to do certain things to get here. They have to win races. They have to be the best iRacers in the world to get this opportunity. And this tonight, man, they're racing on TV. They always have an audience, but tonight it's TV. So you and I had the blessing of having an opportunity to race in front of a lot of people on television. This is the first time for many of these people, so it is a huge night for them.
Well, you mentioned it. So how the series works is the best 40 drivers get to compete. Well, at the end of the year, if you didn't make the top 20, you're eliminated. So let's talk about some of the guys fighting in the race today. I'm looking at Jimmy Mullis. This gentleman right here, this 18-year-old from right here in North Carolina, Midland, North Carolina, he drives for Richmond, and yes, that is Richmond Speedway, their esports team. He was the big winner at Pocono on Tuesday night. Currently sits 6th in points. I expect him to be up front.
Yeah, he will run good. The guy that always runs up front, Ryan Luza. This guy, every time I look up, he's leading races. He's the current point leader in the Peak Series. The guy leads a ton of laps. In his iRacing career, think about this. He has won over 57% of the number of races that he's been in. That is crazy. This guy, 22 years old from Texas, and he brings the heat every single race, leads tons of laps. He will be a contender for sure.
Well, and selfishly, I'm going to be a little partial tonight because I have two drivers in the field. Letarte Esports competes in iRacing because I'm a big supporter of what they're trying to do. So tonight, Nathan Lyon, 21 years old, out of St. Louis, Missouri. He's going to be driving the number 4 car. Chris Shearburn, 37 years old. Yes, the oldest man in the field. He was driving out of Springfield, Illinois. Think about this, Jeff. He has been iRacing and sim racing since the 90s. He is the veteran.
Why does he need to warm up, man? He's been doing it forever. Parker Kligerman and I, we are owners. We have Steady MD on the cars. And we went the opposite route, man. We got young guys. We got Ashton Crowder, who's only 16 years old. He's 27th in points right now. And Logan Clampett, he's only 18, and he's 14th in points. Logan got off, wasn't able to run the first race, so he started out behind a little bit, but he's climbed his way up the point standing. So we're proud of our guys. They're both young, moving forward, and proud to have them driving for us.
Well, I'm excited. It's going to be a great race. First of all, we've never seen Cup cars at Iowa, so why not?
Yes,
that's the beauty of the virtual world. You can light up whatever race you want. But listen, not only do you have two analysts here in Charlotte, but we have an in-race analyst, Parker Kligerman, up in studio, and I think AJ is there to give him some assistance. How's it going, AJ?
It's going well, guys, and right now we're watching Parker. This is warm-up, so Parker's been doing a long run, working on how the tires are starting to fall off. We can see running the top groove, and that's what's fun about iRacing. You see the rubber building up on the racetrack. The groove starts widening out as the tires go away. So Parker using a little bit of practice here to feel out what this 70-lap run is going to be. But Parker, you're on pole for this race now. There might have been some manipulation because you were the only guy allowed on the racetrack for about 20 minutes. You made about 25 different runs at it. But hey, you're on pole. But what I want to know is, what do you expect? What makes these drivers the best in the world compared to somebody like you and me, which we iRace a lot, but not all the time. So what do you expect tonight, and having a fight against 35, 36 of the best in the world.
Well, I absolutely did not expect to be on the pole, and I think you're right to say I got a little advantage by going out early because these tracks change. You see this rubber is laying down across the racetrack just like it would in real life. Oh, gosh, I got loose there. The heat from the sun, the track heats up. It loses grip. It gets more slick. You have to search for grip as the run goes on. And what makes these guys so good is just simply that they understand it, that they're doing this all the time. They've got the hours behind the wheel and figuring out exactly how the tire falls off, how the cars run, exactly what you want to do with them. And it's just like us in real racing, right? They're just specialists at this. They know exactly what to do in these cars. And so I can get the pole with a little manipulation, but I don't expect that I'm going to stay there very long. These guys are really good. Yeah, thank you. You're a heck of a spotter.
Well, you're here in the NBCSN #1 car, starting on the pole.
Yep.
But Krista, as I'm watching him, don't let him fool you, Krista. He's been at this for the last 3 hours practicing, so it's not like he just jumped in it. So we're going to see how it goes down.
Yeah, we heard him screaming here in the studio all the way down the hallway. We're going to check in with Parker and AJ throughout the race over the course of the next hour. Of course, AJ pumped to be back at Iowa Speedway. He was only up for 39 hours following last weekend's IndyCar race. But today it's all about the iGeneration. So who are some of today's racers to keep an eye on? Steve and Jeff mentioned some of them. Well, let's look at their gear. Benjamin Nelson uses VR to compete on iRacing for Team Dillon Esports, owned by Austin Dillon. That's a live picture of Benjamin right now. Ray Alfala competes for the Wood Brothers. Last year, he became the first 4-time champion in the Peak iRacing Series. And let's check out the gear Phil Diaz has. He has this setup to compete for Mode Motorsports. It's supported by Chicago Bears offensive lineman Kyle Long. Kyle's a big NASCAR fan. He was out at the track earlier this year. Coming up next, we're going to be going green. Live NASCAR racing is on the way. It's national television debut coming up next on NASCAR America. So over the course of the next hour, we're going to hear from Steve Letarte, Jeff Burton, Parker's going to join us, AJ Allmendinger is sitting here with me. But right now, let's throw it to the voice of the iRacing Series, Evan Pisacco.
Thanks so much, Krista, and welcome everybody to the virtual Iowa Speedway as we get set for this 2019 version of the NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race. Let's go trackside, take a look at our iRacing starting grid. As mentioned, it is the NBCSN Toyota Parker Kligerman on pole position. Brian Schoenberg will join him on the outside of the front row. That is the Williams Esports entry. Back on row 2, championship leader Ryan Lewis is starting at third. He'll be joined by Brandon Cattell in the number 4 spot. Logan Clampett through P5. Chris Overland starting 6th tonight. Zach Novak starting 7th position. Nick Ottinger rolls from 8th. Garrett Lowe in 9th position. Kane Cook will be your top 10 car on row number 5. Nathan Lyons 11th with Jake Nichols, Matt Busa, Brad Davies, and Jimmy Mullis. All those drivers within 0.2 of a second of pole. Continuing through your top 20, you do have Dylan Duvall, Jarl Tien, Chris Shearbird, Casey Kerwin, and Cody Bias. Midway through, Benjamin Nelson, Ray Alfala, Keegan Leahy, Michael Guest, and Blake Reynolds. Taylor Hurst, Michael Guerrilla, Ashton Crowder, Christian Challenger, and Nick Shelton through P30. To round out the field here tonight, Ryan Lowe will start at 31st with Casey Tucker, Logan Kress, Phil Diaz, and Bobby Zelensky through 35th position. Again, these are the best iRacing drivers in the world competing tonight. There's about 90,000 members of the iRacing service, only the top 40 of which can qualify into the Peak Series, and they're going to put on a show here tonight. Drivers representing 19 different states and 4 countries are with us tonight, and we're happy that you're joining us on NASCAR America on NBCSN for this NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race. Pace car going to dive down to the safety of the pit lane, and the field is in the hands of the number 1 Toyota of Parker Kligerman. As we say, let's go sim racing at Iowa. Green flag in the air. You can see all the contact mid-pack, but the battle for the race lead will go through 1 and 2. That's the 55 of Brian Schoenberg outside line, the driver out of Moore Park, California. He'll go early to the race lead. That 53 Toyota on the inside is Ryan Lewis driving for Flipside Tactics. He's going to try to make the bottom of the racetrack work, but not necessarily the best line to be. One Machida Kligerman gets a little bit loose there, but as this run goes on, we've already been talking about it into this broadcast. With iRacing's dynamic track surface, you can actually see the racetrack get darker in the center, or more rubber's getting put down, and that line's actually expanding out. So it's very difficult for Luza there in second place to actually get that run off of the corner. It's just like it would be at the real-life racetracks on the weekend. Kligerman doing his best to keep a nose there, but I think Luza will clear. Yes, he does, taking over P2. And he'll bring this challenge all the way down and into turn number 3. You can see Parker on the outside of the racetrack doing a good job of hanging on so far. You can see Kligerman there in line as he works the NBCSN simulator, settles out in 3rd position. Of course, you see Parker on the sim every week, but he is going toe-to-toe with the best drivers in the world. And the next driver trying to get up on him is Brandon Cattell in 4th position. You also have that ride spin forward. That's the Wood Brothers race at entry of Chris Overland working the outside line. And you can see those drivers down low. Nick Ottinger in the 47. You just can't get the car to rotate. Even the race leaders who have single filed out a little bit, they're not down on that yellow line. Earlier in this race, before the rubber was put down, that was actually the place to be. But now that the line is spread out, these drivers are running up the racetrack. You can see this battle inside the top 10. Nick Ottinger in the Kroger Chevrolet down on the inside, the JTG Doherty racing entry. He is battling with Chris Overland and Kane Cook. And Jeff, a good start so far. We saw some cars beating and banging off of each other, but so far so good inside of the top 10 as your leaders now trying to single file out and get some distance.
Yeah, we can see these guys on the inside line. They were actually in the outside line. They jumped to the inside trying to make it work. And right now, that's not working out for them. The outside line seems to be the preferred line. And Steve, one of the things I want people to understand is that this track is changing, and the tires are wearing off these cars. The cars aren't going to drive the same every single lap. People need to understand that. So the drivers are going to have to adjust this entire time as the run goes on.
They're going to have to adjust, and they're going to have to change their driving line, change their driving style. The other thing I want the teams to understand, or the fans to understand, is you're going to hear all these teams called out. This is just like in the top 3 NASCAR series. All of these distant teams, that 47 right there, why does it look like the JTG Doherty race car? Because it is. That same ownership owns this car in iRacing. That 47 looks good, kind of working its way. This is going to be a good move to the bottom. This is what makes short track racing so difficult. You see that 47 gets the run inside the 2, but he'll lose a little momentum on corner exit. As we see the 55 still chased by that 53 of Luza. You mentioned Luza. He was your pick on the bottom of the racetrack fighting. Great battle up front, Evan.
Yeah, that 53 car working the inside. You talk about all the different NASCAR teams that are in this series. Here's a good example of some of the more esports-oriented teams battling. The flip side, Tactics Toyota of Luza chasing down the Williams esports entry of Brian Schoenberg. They've managed to open up about a half a second advantage over the rest of the field, so it is just those two battling. Parker still sitting there in 3rd and has a lot of cars stacked up behind him, but it is a Luza and Schoenberg battle for the race lead. And you talk about the tire fall off. These drivers already running lap times that are about a second slower than what they did right off at the start of this race. And again, all that ties back in to iRacing's dynamic track surfaces. We actually see those 3rd and 4th place cars trying to get up and into the picture. Parker Kligerman will close it in on your race leaders is under fire as Brandon Cattell is going to work to his outside, so we'll go side by side for a second. But the track temp in the sim right now is 123 degrees, so it's hot, it's slick, they're sliding around, and you saw Parker get real loose that time. Cattell will take over the spot. Parker's now tight down in 3, and will go 3 wide in this fight for position. Chris Overland takes the Wood Brothers forward up through the middle. Nick Ottinger is still down low in that 47 Chevrolet. He's been down there, it seems like, for the very start of the race. Parker, you're in a battle here side by side.
Yeah, thank you, Evan. As you chimed in, I started to make a couple mistakes there. You mentioned it, the tires are falling off. The track is changing. I'm trying to keep up where the grip is, but it's been really tough. Obviously, Luza and Schoenberg up there were really fast. I didn't get a great start, but I'm starting to do what I thought would happen, which is sort of on the long run, struggle a little bit. I think I got someone outside and inside. Oh, man, this is tight. This is hard. I'm going to get back to it.
Well, the side-by-side is going to continue. He has that two of Kane Cook on the inside of him, so you can see that two machine way down to the yellow line, but they're all going to swing up off of quarter four, get side-by-side. That is what makes the inside more difficult. So Kane Cook in that 240. He's going to drive it in so hard into the corner. He'll push way up. Clearman for the crossover. He's got his team car actually just behind him. Logan Clampett running in line. That's a familiar car, guys. Driving with teammate Ashton Crowder for Burton Clearman Esports. Got NASCAR America on that virtual Toyota Camry. So don't take out the boss. Whatever you do, Clampett's on his bumper right there. This mid-pack just will not get away from each other. As you see Cook trying to break through from all of this. But AJ, you're getting a great view of Parker in the middle of all the chaos.
Yeah, Parker having a fight right now, starting to get a loose condition. Let's remind everybody at home that these are fixed setups, meaning every setup is the same. Not one car is better than the other on a short run to long run. It's all about how the driver uses these tires, and we see Parker getting put 3 wide by his driver. He may want to have a talk with him after that, but we see back up front there, these two kind of stretching it out, but it's all about how you use your tires, Evan, right? It's not, these setups are all the same, so it's based on the driver and how hard they want to run the car early in the run.
In that 53 machine, Ryan Luzin just now going to the race lead, so taking that one away from Brian Schoenberg. But you're exactly right. When this series runs full-time on Tuesdays, we're talking about a lot longer than just a 70-lap sprint at the Iowa Speedway. So in this race, they can kind of go at it early. Of course, not having to worry about stretching it long to the end of the race. But Ryan Luzin doing what he wants to do at the start of this one. He leads at lap number 19. You're watching the NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race on NBCSN. The battle for the race lead continuing here from the virtual Iowa Speedway, and you didn't miss a thing as we stayed side by side with it, working now lap 27 of this NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race on NASCAR America on NBCSN. You're taking a look at the number 47 machine right now of Nick Ottinger. He's running in second place. That car represented JTG Daugherty Racing entry. Started this race back in P8 actually, but has made his way up through the field. And he'll make a charge to the inside on Ryan Luza. Good shot low as they fight at a quarter number 2. Luza took over the race lead not that long ago from Brian Schoenberg. Schoenberg has dropped back a tad bit, still being scored 3rd position. But the battle you're watching now is the fight for the race lead as we close in on the halfway point in this iRacing exhibition. And Steve and Jeff, the one good thing about this race being a shorter distance, we don't need to worry about green flag pit stops. Normally, on a Tuesday, we're talking about strategy. These drivers are trying to set things up. Tonight, they can go a little bit more aggressively as that 47 goes to the inside.
I'm amazed watching this 47 of Ottinger. Started, as you mentioned, all the way back in the 8th position. Methodically has moved him up through the field, and he is lining up that 53 of Luza, the current leader there, that green number 53 inside him. The 47, very famous paint scheme. You see it on JTG's Cup car. This is JTG's iRacing car. Nick Ottinger behind the wheel. And Jeff, here he is working the bottom of the racetrack some more.
Catching Luza and passing him is 2 different things, man. Luza is one of the very best. He's got that high line working. It is going to be a very, very difficult pass for Ottinger. See Luza now taking his line away from him a little bit. But Luza had that top line working. Ottinger got to second because he jumped on the outside of Schoenberg in that 55 car. Couldn't believe Schoenberg gave him the outside, but he gave him the outside, and Ottinger took advantage of it.
Well, Schoenberg's loving this battle because as these 2 lead cars get side by side, that 55 of Schoenberg comes back into the battle. You see him right there in that white car with a little bit of a blue tail on it in the 3rd position. The orange numbers, that's the 55 of Schoenberg. He led early. He was passed by Luza. But as Luza in the 53 and Ottenberg in the 47 battle, look at this. This is off the front bumper. And this is what I think makes iRacing and sim racing so cool is all of the different angles, all of the different views. We can show you racing from angles that we've never seen it before.
And listen, this looks exactly like Iowa, right? I mean, if you go to Iowa, this is what it looks like. I mean, it's crazy, the graphics, how real everything looks. It is absolutely amazing. That's one thing iRacing does a great job. Evan, take us back to this great battle.
Well, they're putting on a show, and guys, the fun thing about this Iowa Speedway, of course, XFINITY Series action is going to be here on NBCSN this weekend from Iowa, but there is no Cup Series date at Iowa. So one of the beauties about the iRacing service is you could match up literally any car track combination on the service, and this is really a popular one, trying to muscle these cars around what is considered a shorter track compared to, of course, what you see normally. But the way that these cars are running right now, this is exactly the 2019 rules package that you saw last weekend at New Hampshire. These cars are running at 750 horsepower package, so it is mimicking exactly what you see on the real-life shows for the weekend. So as this battle for the race lead continues, there is some funning a little bit further back around P10. Of course, funning all throughout the field, but as we continue to close in on what will be a competition to caution just past halfway, Ottinger again tries to squeeze on the inside line, not able to get the job done. And keep in mind, Ryan Luza, you talk about one of the best. He is the best coming into this race, or I guess I should say out of Tuesday night's Peak Series race, as the championship leader in a very good position to fight for the 2019 title. That series has 2 weeks remaining until the playoffs start in search of that 2019 campaign, and the stakes are very real on this iRacing service. The purse for the 2019 eNASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series is over $100,000 in cash and prizes. Over $200,000 has been given away over the course of this series, which has actually been running for the last 10 years. So they may be simulated cars, AJ, but there are real-world consequences.
Oh, there is. This is a championship that these drivers want to win. It's prestigious. It means so much to what they put so much time into this. But we see a great battle here, and this is what I love, is we got a couple laps before the competition yellow. Ottinger going to the bottom of Luza, see if he can get under him and clear him. It's going to be tight, but more importantly, our boy Parker Kligerman, that started on the pole. He's back to 30th. Let's take a look at what happened here in the commercial break. He gets loose, he hooks the 17, pretty much cleans him out, causes a huge wreck. There's Leahy back there in the 62 crashing. So Parker has absolutely thrown away this race, destroyed a couple other people's race as well. It's unfortunate. He showed promise for about 10 laps, but Evan, that's what makes these drivers the best in the world, because they can do it lap after lap, as we still see a great battle as we get close to the competition yellow.
Yeah, the big thing that Parker's going to struggle with is he's got damage. The rest of these guys are keeping it clean. There is our competition to caution at lap number 40 of 70. We will slow things down. That big advantage that your race leaders had pulled in excess of a second over the rest of the field is completely eliminated. And these drivers are now going to get set for a trip down to the pit lane and a race start with less than 25 laps to go. Back to the virtual Iowa Speedway in a moment. You're watching NASCAR America on NBCSN.
Welcome back to NASCAR America. If you just tuned in and you think, wait, what's going on? I thought I was watching a studio show. I'm watching a race. Yes, you're watching the national television debut of iRacing, the Peak E Series, AJ.
Yeah, and we're going to go to our boy Parker. He was on pole, ran inside the top 3 for about 8 to 10 laps, started losing the rear of the car, and Parker, big mistake off of turn 2, a lot of damage.
Yeah, all right. I got to defend myself a little bit. I was holding my own, felt pretty good about it, but as you pointed out, these guys are way better at taking care of their tires than me, but I've got a second chance at it, so here we go.
All right, competition caution was what we were under. Let's go to Evan Bisacco, the voice of this series, as we get ready to go green.
Well, we're coming back for the competition to caution. It is a restart with 26 laps to go for the virtual Iowa Speedway. Back under green and a good jump on the outside. That 53 car down low. That's the flip side tactics Toyota of Ryan Luza. He was the leader at the break. They all came down pit road for tires, but they're going to door slam it at turn number 2. Brian Schoenberg on the outside. Feels like this may be his best opportunity to go to the point. It is 2 by 2 all throughout the field, with the drag race to the start-finish line. That time has the 55 in front by just a nose. Again, these cars going to be racing to the end of this 70-lap All-Star race. It's the eNASCAR iRacing All-Star race. The best of the best drivers from the Peak Antifreeze Series competing tonight, and there's a lot of action. A couple of cars around towards the back. You see one car up and into the outside wall. It will not affect our race leaders, though, as the battle for P1 continues. Luza now driving it in hard on the inside because, again, that preferred lane now is going to start to move up the hill a little bit. The 55 shooting some sparks as he gets into the outside wall. These are two drivers nose to nose. A second look at that contact there with the 5 of Matt Busa in the Williams Sports entry. Well, his teammates up here battling for the win, but it is Luza driving the 53 in hard. He'll clear for the race lead. The 55 of Schoenberg tries to cross him over right on that bumper down the back straightaway. But for the first time since the restart, your race leaders have single filed out for a brief moment. It's Luza leading. Schoenberg now in second. Nick Ottinger's third right there. He's playing aggressively. Chris Overland in fourth, and Logan Clampett rounding out your top 5. That fifth-placed car, the number 99 NASCAR America Toyota, driving for Burton Kligerman Esports. And Jeff, that's your team car up inside of the top 5, trying to make some noise. He's under fire, though. That's Austin Dillon's car, the 30 of Blake Reynolds, looking to his inside.
Yeah, he tried to go to the bottom a little bit ago in that 99 car and just did not work out. He restarted on the bottom, so that was a disadvantage. He's now got himself in 5th place, and the car in front of him of Chris Overland, he drives for the Wood Brothers, and he is not going to give him the outside.
You can see with Nelson as well, as all of these battles for position continue on, that none of these drivers are going to take it easy. There's a good onboard shot. Chris Overland, you can see the banking here at the Iowa Speedway. Somewhat tame compared to most racetracks. Progressive banking at 12 to 14 degrees. Again, exactly just like the real-life 7/8 mile Speedway. This Iowa Speedway scanned accurate to 1/4 of an inch deep. So for all intents and purposes, these drivers are actually racing on Iowa Speedway, and they're all staying much lower on this run, I think, than what we saw earlier in this race.
Yeah, if you're just turning in, you're watching an iRacing race. These are sim racers. These are guys driving on computers all around. Well, we just heard that black and gray car about 6th in line. That car is owned by Austin Dillon. Well, he has a team car farther back in the field, the 33 of Ben Nelson. He's currently running a 30th position, but it's a great look of how these guys are going. Look at this. Ben Nelson using VR, virtual reality. You're looking at him on the left with his goggle virtual reality headset on, and what he's seeing out of the right, that's what these guys are doing. There's a bunch of different setups. That's a really cool setup, though, for Ben Nelson.
There's less than 20 laps to go in the NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race. You're not going to miss a thing. Ryan Luza still out in front from the virtual Iowa Speedway as this race starts to round down. The action is continuing for the virtual Iowa Speedway, and you didn't miss a thing as we're now inside of the final 10 laps of this NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race. Some of the best sim racers in the world competing today on NASCAR America on NBCSN. You've been watching the battle for the race win. Ryan Luza, the Flipside Tactics entry, and the JTG Daugherty Racing entry of Nick Ottinger in the 47. These two cars have been going at it all afternoon long, and this race looks like it's going to come down to the very end. A couple more cars trying to get into the picture here. Brian Schoenberg led some laps early. He sits there in the number 3 spot. That's a Williams Esports car. Blake Reynolds in third. That's the number 30 Chevrolet, the Team Dillon Esports entry. So 4 cars scored within half of a second of each other, making this a 4-way battle for the race lead. Next time by the start-finish line, we'll see 6 laps to go, Jeff.
Yeah, Blake Reynolds in 4th. He is putting some pressure on him again. He drives for Austin Dillon. He has run this lead pack down. I don't know if he has enough time, but look at this battle for the lead.
Yeah, during the 47 is going to look low. At some point, he's going to have to push the issue. Contact, perhaps, with Luza in that 53 in the second lane as he moves up on corner exit. Will he squeeze him?
And Steve, remember, no points tonight. This is an all-star race, so there's it isn't going to matter. So maybe some contact that you wouldn't normally have in a points race.
Not just an all-star race, but the first ever iRacing race on television. All of these drivers said they had perhaps more nerves than a regular race. Well, here it is, 5 to go, door to door. AJ, the racing is outstanding.
It really is, and I'm watching Luza here. It looks like in the middle of the corner, he's a little bit tight, a little bit more wheel. In the race car, that right front turned a little bit more than Ottinger, but Ottinger cannot get the pass cleared. I think he's a little bit quicker, but he can't get the pass cleared. Luza Everywhere he goes, he blocks Ottinger. It's blowing my mind how good he is at knowing where to run to make sure Ottinger can't clear the pass. But, Evan, we're coming 3 to go. Does Ottinger finally just say, I'm done with it, and move him for the win?
Well, he got awfully close that time in turn 2. He drove it all the way to the bumper of the 53 of Luza. Very different line that time, though, as there's 3 laps to go. He'll get a big run now down into the quarter, and they're side by side for the race lead. Ottinger tight, though. He pushes up. Here comes Blake Reynolds. Reynolds in 3rd place, just past Brian Schoenberg. He sits in the wings. Maybe your top 2 get together as Ottinger drives it in hard to turn 4. Crossover for Luza. It'll be Popsicle 6 in the air this time. 2 more laps to go from Iowa. So now it's a role reversal. It's Luza on the very inside line. Ottinger works the outside. He'll get the better run that time at a turn 2. And Nick Ottinger to the race lead as here comes Blake Reynolds. That number 30 Chevrolet on the inside, your biggest mover from 25th on the grid. White flag in the air. Last lap at Iowa. Luza, one more try to the inside line. Ottinger's going to stay high, though. His objective is to carry the speed through 2. Both cars sideways at a turn number 2. As it'll come into 3 and 4 for the final time. Luza drives it in hard. Ottinger for the crossover to the inside. They're side by side off of the corner, but it is Nick Ottinger on the inside, winner of the NASCAR iRacing All-Star Race just by 3/100ths of a second. It is Ottinger for JTG Daugherty Racing, who comes out on top. Series championship points leader Ryan Luza right there coming home in second, and Blake Reynolds made it exciting to fight. The 30 car coming home P3. What a television debut for the drivers of the NASCAR Pequena Freeze iRacing Series, and Ottinger will take that virtual Chevy Camaro to the front straightaway. He's got some celebrating to do as the 47 car burns it down on the front straightaway.
What a move. What a move. I thought Luza had him when he drove into 3. I thought he slammed the door. Ottinger in that 47 lifted a little early, turned back underneath him, and beat him to the line. What a race.
The pass for the lead, though, Ottinger, he got a great run off turn 4, had momentum going into turn 1, and just slid job him. Just absolutely just slid him, got in front of him. Here you go. Check this out. So here you can see on the bottom of the racetrack, he has so much momentum right here that gives him an opportunity just to drive in the corner really, really deep. Just a great race. Well, a lot of fun.
And Blake Reynolds in the 30 driving for Austin Dillon was the 3rd car in the picture, and he kept them honest. If they were going to hit each other, he was going to be there to pick up the win. AJ, that 47 car, you've driven that car before. What did it look like to go to victory lane?
Man, I felt like we needed Dale Jr. here. That was a slide job. put the move on him, but you know what? Ottinger, and this just shows why these are the best racers in the world, because that's racecraft. He knew that Luza was going to drive it in deep. He didn't challenge him. He let Luza get in there. Ottinger had the confidence that he could turn the car back under him and beat him to the line, which is what he did, and just a fantastic race. And obviously, pretty important to these guys for the TV debut to be the first-time winner for Nick Ottinger. That's pretty special.
Nick Ottinger has had 8 years of sim racing experience, 24 years old. So he started doing this as a 16-year-old, had 1 win last year, but the 24-year-old from Orlando, Florida, outduels the 22-year-old from Cypress, Texas. It's Nick Ottinger, 24 years old, and that number 47, who wins the iRacing eNASCAR virtual Iowa Speedway debut here on NASCAR America. You're looking at the winning car from today's eNASCAR iRacing All-Star event at Virtual Iowa Speedway. 24-year-old Nick Ottinger driving that number 47 for JTG Daugherty. We're going to actually talk to him in just a few moments, but back here in our NBC Sports studio, AJ Allmendinger, Parker Kligerman was in the simulator, and during commercials, what you didn't hear, what he was yelling to us, is how much you were sweating and how hard
I'm
it
so sweaty.
was. Why?
Well, it's so hard, and you've got to do, such minute movements, and you're trying to keep, as the tires fall off, you're trying to take care of the tires, and the right rear was coming off that first run, and I got into a little bit of a wreck. That sent me back. But then the second run, I was really figuring it out. I felt way more comfortable, and by the time we were running to the white flag, I was starting to pass guys again. So,
where'd you finish?
31st.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I felt like I could have been up there if I'd stayed up there, is what I'm trying to say. Here's the deal. These guys are incredible, and I could hear from your call and everyone screaming how good that finish was. So, very cool.
And I really give Parker a lot of flack for all this, but it really is. The reason I'm not in there is because it is the best in the world. So it's a lot easier to just be giving commentary about how bad Parker's struggling than me actually doing it.
These 30 drivers, this is what they do every week. There's an entire series like Evan was talking about that has been going on for the last 10 years. This was an all-star event. We wanted to show it to you here on television. And like we said, this is what we normally do. We normally get to talk to the winner after a race. So let's do that. Nick Ottinger is going to join us by phone. Hi, Nick. Congratulations on your win.
Thank you very much. That was an intense race right there. I know Parker was sweating. I was sweating up front as well.
Nick, this is AJ, man. It's pretty special, to see that 47 back into victory lane. Parker, I got it there before.
Yep.
One time,
Nice.
but it was there. It was live in victory lane. So real special to see it back in victory lane. But where did you? I mean, you fought Ryan Luza pretty much the whole race. Where did you feel like you had the biggest strength in your race car to finally make the move and hold him off?
I appreciate you, especially for being a wheelman in this 47 for all them years. But with Ryan Luza, he's a good wheelman too. So I just had to bide my right rear a little bit. And Parker mentioned it, just to kind of keep the right rear cool, and I just had to bide my time for a straight exit and just had to really research which line to run to get a better run on him. That's just, he set up the door for a crossover, so I just had to keep my foot to the floor.
Well, congrats, man. That was awesome.
I appreciate it. These guys at iRacing definitely put on good races each week, so I appreciate Tyler Hudson putting this on and the staff at iRacing, and definitely you guys for doing this event.
Hey, Nick, it's Jeff Burton. Congratulations, first of all. But tell everybody how you prepare for these races.
It's not difficult to explain it, but it just takes a lot of hard work. I mean, you can have some of these guys who, including myself, we could put anywhere from 10 to, honestly, 40 hours a week just to prepare for these top-notch races. And you really got to be prepared mentally, and you just got to keep doing laps keep doing laps to be just hit your marks every time. So that's just the competitive nature of this series. And I mean, no matter if it's the first 5 laps of a run, the last 5 laps of a run, you're pretty much sweating from the start.
Hey, Nick, Steve Letarte here. What I want to know, when I look at your numbers, you've won over 350 iRacing races, 13 at the pro level. This is the first ever one on television. Take us through those last 2 laps, and don't lie to us now. Were you the most nervous you've ever been? Did you realize like the size of this race and the win you were trying to capture?
It'll be possible.
Yeah, definitely, Steve. I was definitely nervous. I know I had a lot of family cheering me on and everything, but just you want to really just hit your marks even the last 3 laps of a race. But I mean, it's just so much pressure, you guys, just putting this stuff on, and I mean, I just love racing, and that's just what I do. I mean, I can't always go to the short track each Saturday, so this is just what I like doing. Just have a lot of passion for it.
Well, Nick, congratulations. I said you're from Orlando, Florida, right? But live in North Carolina now. Is that correct?
Yes. Came actually up to North Carolina. I'm actually about when I was 3 to 4 years old. So I mean, it's been quite a while since I've been back to Florida.
Hey, Nick, it's Parker Kligerman. You mentioned sweating. I was sweating a lot in this race going up against you guys. How do you take care of your tires? I couldn't figure it out, man. Why are you so good?
Parker, come on.
I know.
Right foot.
Well, you guys are really good at this. That's all I got to say.
I appreciate it. You're definitely wheelman up front for a couple laps. You're holding some of us up and making it hard to pass. So
That's what we wanted to hear.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Used again.
Yes, thank you for that soundbite.
Thank you again. Congratulations, Nick Ottinger, 24 years old, today's winner in the NASCAR iRacing All-Star event, the national television debut, and we look forward to seeing the rest of the series throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, that was, I mean, I can't wait to see the replay. I haven't really been able to see it yet, but I think that was a really, from where I was racing, I saw 3 and 4 wide the entire time. I mean, that was just a cool event. You got to see some of the best aspects of what makes iRacing so good, so much like a simulation. You saw the rubber laying down, the tire fall off. using, different lanes and having Ottinger and Luza running totally different lanes. AJ was telling me halfway through the race there in the last run, remember? Luza's running the top. He's running the wall. Go to the wall. So I go to the wall. It worked for a couple laps. Then, sure enough, other guys went up there. It went away. We had to move back to the bottom. So it's just, I'm really glad that worked out the way it did because that was such a cool race to be a part of. And I felt like the viewers out there were really seeing something unique.
Well, it was a cool race, and we've talked a lot about the drivers, but I think we had a couple, maybe 3 drivers kind of dominate the front of the race. But, Jeff, you and I kind of made this list. I think it's important. We saw JTG out there racing for the win, ends up getting the win. But the list of owners, we got Wood Brothers, Joe Gibbs Racing, Austin Dillon. I mean, you look at the top 10 finishers, Flipside's in there, Williams, Richmond. That's Richmond Speedway, Roush, Burton, Ewing, Kligerman has a team. I have a couple teams out there. It's so well supported.
It really is. Junior Motorsports has a team. You mentioned Dillon, Roush Fenway, Gibbs, Clint Boyer has a team. The people in the Cup Series, they believe in this. They believe in what's going on here. This gives an opportunity. If you can't afford a race car, you can do this. Like, this gives an opportunity to so many people, and you can see the racing's real. And these are the best of the best. 90,000, right?
Right.
Think about that. And you had only 40 make it to this level. That's absolutely amazing. This kind of racing that you see.
Well, we were here cheering in studio watching this battle. Another gentleman is Motorsports, but Kyle Long, a football player for the Bears, who's a big race fan. He has a team as well. Listen, it's spectacular. It's a way that someone can get an idea of what racing is like. I was a race fan, guys. I don't know about you, but I was cheering. I'm glad I think they had my mic closed the last 2 laps, or I would have been cheering during the call.
And Steve, you guys mentioned, drivers and that want to be a part of racing in some capacity. This really breaks down that barrier of entry to be a part of racing at a high level. But it's not only that; it's ownership. Jeff Burton and I are not going to go own a Cup team, but we can own an esports team. It might be sponsors that come in to the series that are new to NASCAR, trying to figure it out. This is great for so many ways. We do have a new sponsor, SteadyMD.com, if you've heard of it. I might get that plug in there.
It's a natural transition.
But I think that the thing is that, what we're seeing here with this battle at the end is just how hard this is. You heard Nick say in his interview, I was sweating.
Yeah.
We work 10 to 40 hours a week. That's probably even that's low for some guys.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
sure.
There's guys that are putting in 10 hours a day.
Yeah.
7 days a week. So I think what you're seeing here is they are just balancing these cars at the edge of control the entire time in all the same ways that we do it in real life.
And Parker, you talk about, 10 hours a day. Hey, by the way, that's not their job.
No.
For a lot of these guys, they're working real jobs. They're going to school. This is what their passion is for. And you talked about, and Jeff and Steve, we're talking about for all aspects of drivers, whether you're trying to get in there and make something out of it in the peak series, or for guys like us where it's like, hey, you know what? We're going to a new racetrack.
Yep.
We don't know what it looks like. It's on iRacing. I'm going to go test just to see what it's like, what the track, which direction it goes. There's so many different reasons why we get out there and get on this. And oh, by the way, it's just a lot of fun, and we really enjoy it.
And I beat you a lot.
Yeah, sure, yeah. But it's for so many people that are at home watching this going, this isn't real. Yeah, okay, it's real.
Yep.
The only thing I think we should do is if when we do hit the wall, we slam our head against the side of put your sim right next to the wall.
Have a shocker?
Yeah, slam your head against it, and then it's as real as it gets.
Well, so let's find out, Steve, Jeff, you guys said you loved it. You loved the view from there. Jeff, what'd you think about your co-owner, his performance today behind the wheel?
He did. Hey, listen, he started up forward, ran well up front, and listen, I'm not going to give him a hard time because he was racing against the best.
That's right.
Right, and if you're going to, I thought he did really well to race against the best and perform that well. I was pretty impressed, actually. That's really, really difficult to do. My son, he has an iRacing rig. I get on it at home, and he wears me out. Like, it's not even close. So I was proud of what Parker did.
Well, listen, it was a great race at a great racetrack. I thought Iowa Speedway was fun to watch. And we're going to have to get off here in a little bit because we're going to have to travel ourselves and get up to Pocono and watch the next Cup race. Cup race weekend at Pocono. It's going to be a blast. All the practice and qualifying on Saturday.
I know. And, of course, the Xfinity Series racing at Iowa Speedway.
Yep. I noticed Jeff said that you did really well, but they didn't want to put the new sponsor in your car.
I can only get NBC on board.
We are smart business people,
I've been wanting to see Cup cars at Iowa.
I was just going to say, guess what? We saw today. That's what, so for all the fans have always wondered out there, I know we said at the beginning, but that's what you might get if we had Cup cars Iowa.
Now they're going to be firing emails to NASCAR.
Did you see that?
Racing?
How great was
Let's
that?
get it to Iowa.
Come on!
Thanks to everyone who participated, all of you, for watching. And that's what we're leaving you with. The next generation of racing for the next generation. We hope you found a new favorite driver. He just might be your next door neighbor. That's going to do it for us here on NASCAR America.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.